I'ma just be telling you like why I personally like the climber a lot. Like the manga The Climber and me personally, like the manga for me is really good. It's really relatable. And one of the number one things I like about The Climber is how relatable it gets. Now, just a quick rundown. Basically, what it's about. It's basically manga, and it's about a real story based off of a real guy. His name was Katu Bontoru, and it was basically about his adventures, and what he faced as a solo mountain climber in Japan. Now, some people may think he's the best solo mountain climber or mountain climber ever, so whatever. But that's basically what the manga's about. Basically, his life, his adventures, and his trials as he faced. But in the manga, there's a character, which is the main character, Mori Bantoru. He transferred to high school in Japan, and he's already seen as an outcast because he doesn't really talk that much. You know what I'm saying? He doesn't talk that much. He's bad at communicating, terrible communication skills, and it's not that he doesn't know how to communicate, but it's because he doesn't want to communicate. It's because he doesn't like to be around people. He doesn't like to communicate with people because when he was communicating with people, they made him feel like he didn't belong. They made him feel like he didn't deserve anything, and that they made him feel like that every bad thing that happened around him was his fault, which ended up leading him to be alone and quiet, reserved and laid back. And he wasn't really the type of person to care about academics like that. He cared, you know what I'm saying, but it wasn't something that was really that important to him. Now one day, this chapter is where it all changed. The classmate Miyamoto challenged him to climb the school, basically to embarrass him. And basically, he climbed it. He did an insane jump, and when he did the insane jump, Mori, that was the first time where he felt alive. He felt like a surge of energy and excitement go through him, and that's when he became in love with climbing and drawn to the mountains. Now, it's understandable that someone like Mori becomes drawn to the mountains, where it's alone, peaceful, and quiet, with a lot of sceneries, because he's already seen as an outcast within society. And within the manga, as it progresses, you'll see Mori kind of drifting away from society. And that's one of the things that's great about the manga, because the first 32 chapters of the manga, it was basically about a sports manga of a climbing club, but then there was a transition, a switch to a sports manga to a story about a boy who loves solo climbing, which basically made the manga more psychological and started to teach us about the trials he faced and what he had to endure while solo climbing, because it was already considered very dangerous in Japan to go climbing without a group or people with you. And one of the great things about the manga is we get to see how Mori controls his emotions. We get to see how he endures in harsh conditions and is able to keep himself calm and not panicking, which I think is good for people that are trying to improve themselves. And one of the things that people can relate to the most is you'll see like a lot of people typically who read the manga are kind of in Mori's position. They're outcasts or considered an outcast. They don't have a lot of friends. They don't talk to a lot of people, and they're kind of just chilling, you know. And that's how they can relate to Mori, because they're kind of in the same similar state. But I just like to see Mori continue to face his trials, continue to grow as a person. And towards the end of the manga, Mori actually realizes that it's not that you want to be alone, but you want to be surrounded by the right people. And you want to be surrounded by the right people who make you feel like you're deserved, who make you feel like you're worth something, who make you feel like you don't have to be alone. And it's not a bad thing to be alone, because if you are surrounded by a group of people that is bad for you, And you should want to be alone, because one thing about Mori is he faced loneliness throughout the entire manga, and he embraced it, learning more about himself. But then, once he got genuine people to hang around with, genuine people who loved him, and genuine friends, which some who died along the way, he realized that he'd rather be with people who truly care about him rather than being all alone. So, just really just be where you belong, and just don't be afraid to be alone, because you can really use that to your advantage for